Right, without further ado, it's the member spotlight session. Who have we got today, Louise?
Well, today, I'm not going to do big introductions to everybody because you're going to hear all about them in a minute. So I'm going to ask them just to come on in. We've got Angie Brown, Liz Foxon, and Sue Carne. So come on in, ladies. Let's get chatting.
Come on in. Hello. Very welcome.
Good morning.
Very welcome. Good morning. Liz, you're still on mute. If you'd like to unmute yourself. Sue.
Morning.
I just would like. Good morning. Good morning, Sue. I would just like for you to tell people why we're an international biz hub today.
I'm reporting from sunny Spain this morning. Journey here by car.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Welcome.
Right, ladies, so it's as we've explained, and we'll explain to our audience, this is a really informal chat. Stu and I will bounce the questions back and forth. What we generally do is ask the same question to each one of you in turn. That way we get like a little bit of an idea of how you're doing things differently and where you came from and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to start off with an introduction. So I'd like you to introduce yourself and what your business is. So let's start with you, Sue.
Good morning. Yes, my name's Sue Carne. I have a franchise called Not Just Travel. The clue's in the name. I'm a personal travel consultant, so I help my clients book their perfect holidays, really. So I do all of the research and get them the best value option that I can for them.
Brilliant. And are you an independent, or did you say it was part of a franchise?
Part of a franchise. We're part of the Hayes Travel Group, which I think put themselves on the map when they bought the Thomas Cook shops.
Okay, yes, they did.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the bigger umbrella. So the Hayes Independent Group.
Yeah, were they the husband and wife couple? I think I read about them.
Yes, correct.
Yes, I did. I did. That's it. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. Angie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Angie Brown and I'm a remote-based executive assistant. I work primarily for HR consultants and business coaches.
Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Liz? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Liz Foxon. My business is Coconut Blue. I'm a sole trader, and Coconut Blue is all about beautiful things from far and wide. So I curate lots of small collections of lovely things.
Brilliant. And you have a shop, don't you?
And I have a shop, yes.
Yeah.
So I collaborate. It's a part-time business, and it's a 60-40 relationship, and I've collaborated with two others. So it's a partnership in a shop in Midhurst called Sussex House Boutique.
That was my next question. It's in Midhurst. Brilliant. Right. So now we know your names and what you do briefly. We're going to start digging deeper. Let's go deeper. Right. So my first question, and I'm going to ask you all in turn. Why did you choose the industry or sector or niche that you did? What brought you to it? Why did you choose it? So Liz, let's start with you. Why did you choose the industry?
Okay, this industry is very different for me, retail. I spent 35 years in healthcare. I wanted the next chapter in my life. So in 2016, I left corporate life, and I've got a massive passion for travel. So traveled a lot for a year, and was really looking to do something completely different. So always collecting lots of little treasures and things like that. And by chance on my travels in Morocco, I met two lovely ladies in Marrakesh in a cafe, like you do. And they sort of like kindred spirits said, oh, why don't you think about setting up a little shop? You love traveling, etc. Or we'll help you. So again, collaborating with two lovely ladies who've become really good friends now in Spain. They have a shop in Spain. And so, yes, they've been my mentors and yeah, have helped me sort of set up the business. But through that also, I've started in 2018, so 2 years ago, doing pop-ups and fairs. So I started small to begin with.
Right.
Very, very different world for me.
I know, but it's kind of it's encompassing all the things that you like to do. You like to travel, you like nice things, you like all of that. It's a really lovely way to get into an industry because it's something that you love to do. So it's
and I also wanted a part-time business, and it's a lifestyle change for me. So that was the other thing, was bringing all that sort of passion, colour to other people's lives, sharing it with other people.
That's lovely, and you've got that balance going on as it's part-time, which is really good. Yeah. What about you, Sue? Why did you choose your industry or sector?
Well, way back, I used to be cabin crew, or what we used to call air hostess in those days.
Oh, yeah.
And I sort of really wanted to get back into the travel industry. I had a family, so you know, going back to traveling around the world wasn't going to work for me. And so the next best thing was to send other people traveling around the world. So yeah, that's why I chose. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and it's quite a difficult industry to start up on your own. So joining a franchise just sort of clears all that red tape that's associated with travel in the travel industry.
Right, and because you've obviously travelled a lot, being cabin crew, did you find that because you've been to so many places, it's quite good that you can advise people, etc., in the role that you've got now?
It is, yes, absolutely, very much so. Particularly, sort of, you know, South America was my favourite continent to travel to as cabin crew, and you know, it's a bit more far flung than quite a few people in the UK. Although obviously the world is getting much smaller, but yeah, it definitely helps. It gives you more credibility as well.
Definitely, yeah. You can say, I've been there, I've seen it. It's great. Yeah, that's a really. I mean,
that's one drawback, is that I haven't been everywhere. So
you've got to get travelling too.
I'm working on it.
It's very important, you know. You've got to go. Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Angie? How did you land up in your industry?
Well, I left school in 1983 before some of the members might have even been born, but hey. And I joined up with our local YTS scheme, which was run by Waverley Borough Council. Yes, Stuart, YTS, Youth Training Scheme.
Where I started.
Yeah, £25 a week. I was real chuffed. But we would learn all sorts of different trades. I even learned how to put a window in and putty a window in and paint the walls. But part of the work was to work in offices as well. And I was seconded to Waverley Borough Council offices because I lived in Barncombe, Godalming. So I ended up working and then getting a job in the Chief Executive's office as the assistant to the assistant, if you like.
Okay.
And so she literally taught me a lot of my founding, you know, what I've been doing with the secretarial side, because I didn't know where I wanted to go. And then after 33 years in corporate land, I was doing the last 12 years working as an executive assistant for the Vice President of HR. And our company was called Covidian, which is now Medtronic, because they merged. So it went from 64,000 employees to, 34,000 employees to 65,000.
Wow.
And we knew, because obviously in HR, and it was all part of our strategy work and our project management, that we were going to be made redundant. So I had like 2 years to sort of suss out what I wanted to do. And then I realised that actually there's a market out there for VAs. So when I stepped out with my bag of cash, I got scared and didn't do it. So I went and worked for another employee for 18 months. But in the meantime, set up Angie PA, knowing it was there. And then I worked part-time for that company, and then went full-time myself. So
it's a bit like dipping your toe. Was it a bit like dipping your toe in the water before you fully committed to it?
It's fear. It's fear, because you know I wasn't very good at selling. I didn't know how to, because I'd always been in the back office.
Right.
So yeah, it was fear, but it's okay now.
Yeah. Brilliant. And didn't you recently have an anniversary? Wasn't it 4 years?
4 years, yeah, 1st of July. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well done, Angie. Yeah, so you've all had natural progressions about things that you love doing, and that's what makes it success, right? If you're in a business that you really enjoy, in an industry that you really enjoy. Yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for sharing the insight.
Excellent. So I've got a follow-up question, and I'm going to go back round in a completely random order. Sue, given the experiences that you have, what one piece of advice do you wish you'd been given before you started your business? Is there anything that you think to yourself, if only I'd known that?
There is, although I'm not sure it would have changed my mind, but it really, this business is 24/7, 365 days a year. The times when a client calls you at midnight because they can't find the place that's got the keys to their villa, or at 6 o'clock in the morning because something's wrong with the flight that they're supposed to be getting on, or their taxi hasn't turned up. Yeah, I wish I'd have known, and that would be part of the job.
Right. Yeah, so you're their friend in the airport when things aren't going right, or their travel plans have gone slightly not to schedule. You're the support line that they give a quick call to.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm expected to come up with miracles.
I'm guessing, like with mobile phones and that now, everybody has the phone in their hand. They don't have to hunt around in the airport terminal for a telephone.
No, absolutely. You're literally at the end, the end of a few key presses, aren't you? So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's quite stressful as well. Somebody's standing in an airport and my taxi's not here, I don't know what to do. Or, as I say, I can't find the keys to my villa. I don't know where the keys to your villa are. It's midnight and I was asleep when you rang. But yeah, it's good that they feel they can speak to me. That's the job, really. So
a helping, calming voice from home telling them that it's all going to be all right. That's all you can do sometimes.
Yep.
So Angie, what about yourself? What would you wish to have known before you started your business?
You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. You don't have to wait for that website to be done. You don't need your branding sorted because you don't know who you are. You just don't need any of that stuff. What you need to do is step out of yourself and go networking, meet people, and yeah, your potential clients have been there for 3 or 4 months while you've been sat on your bottom at your computer trying to suss out what's next.
Yeah.
Or join Signal Biz Hub because they'll tell you what to do next.
There you go.
Thank you. That's the kind of go-to attitude that you really do need in business, that it's never going to be perfect. There is always going to be something that you could improve. But if you waste time improving it, your perfect customer is going to go somewhere else. So you might as well just get out there and start talking. And I've never found a barrier that a new potential customer you couldn't overcome. And nobody's ever said, excuse me, but I'm sorry, but your website is a bit rubbish and your logo doesn't look professional. Nobody has ever raised that objection.
Can I just bounce something back to you, Angie? How did you actually overcome your fear? Because you expressed in your previous question that you were scared. How did you overcome that?
It was huge. I went to an all-female networking group.
Okay.
And I stood up. I didn't know that I had to stand up and give a minute. So that already, I stood up and I went, I was completely scared, but they were so lovely and calming. They just helped me through. They said, well, where have you come from? And they just sort of coached me through that. And then I sat down and I just went, that was like the first one done. So, and then it got easier, but I still find it incredibly difficult to walk into a room of people and tell them about me.
I don't think you're alone with that, to be fair.
No.
I think a lot of people have
I found
that.
a lot like it.
Yeah, exactly. Well done. That's really good.
Fabulous. And Liz, for yourself, what piece of advice would you wish somebody had told you before you'd got started?
I think I'd probably echo a little bit the same, similar to Angie. I would have probably would have joined a network earlier, like Signal. So I probably joined a year later, almost 6 months later. So I think it would have helped, even though I had a mentor from my friends in Spain, I think it still would have helped with local. So for me, I actually lived in Australia. So I was still trying to find out who was around, how sort of local worked, community worked, how I could fit into the local community. So I think you've got to start local. To me, you've got to start local. Don't sort of think too big, too fast. And I guess my other piece of advice, don't sweat the small stuff.
And by the way, it's all small stuff.
Because I was in a corporate similar, you just were in this big group. And I guess I was a technical person, so I was a bit of a perfectionist. So this is very different. I've got open slather. So that's the other thing is know what you're able to do in retail. Just really read up and just join as many things as possible and get that sort of background knowledge. I think that was very key. Yeah, if I'd done a little bit more, it would have, I don't know, it probably would have helped with confidence, and not that I lack confidence, but I just confidence in being in retail, I think. Yeah, and being the best, I guess, being the best I can be in retail. Yeah.
That is often the way, though, with small business owners, the transition that you come from a big corp and then you leave that and then you go out on your own. And when you're in the big corporation, like if there's an issue, you just go to that department or that department or that department. But when you're on your own, you are the department. There's nobody to go to. You've got to do it all yourself, which again brings us back to the Biz Hub, because there are people that you can back to.
Yes, yeah. And you need that. You really
definitely, yeah. Brilliant.
You really need.
Oh, that's really good. I'm just going to go specifically on your industry now. And if there is anybody that is specifically wanting to get into your industry, a piece of advice you would give specifically about that. So I'm going to you, Sue, if there was something about your industry, what piece of advice would you give?
Okay, right now I would say don't join the industry. It's been horrendous over the last 3 or 4 months. I can't begin to tell you how bad it's been. Until there's some sort of future proofing in terms of travel, just stay away, sadly, which is very sad, because it's a fantastic industry to be in, but not right now.
What about transferring that? What about having travel in the UK, though? I mean, because we can freely travel here at the minute. Is that something that you're looking at?
Well, yes, we do. I mean, we do sell holidays, and I have done to the UK, and they're definitely on the up. There's an increase there. Yeah. But I think there are a couple of issues here. That then people aren't spending anything like as much money. And obviously when you're running a business, so there has to be a certain level of turnover. Yeah. And B, still things like local lockdowns are a concern. So if you've paid a lot of money to go and spend a week in Cornwall, and then you can't go because they're locked down or you're locked down, it's still an issue. It's not as straightforward as we would really like it to be, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, people are traveling, and I've got, fingers crossed, I've got somebody going to Croatia next week, and that will be my first client going overseas. But again, even that is, Croatia, I read the slight increase in the level of coronavirus there, and so will the government pull that one from us? Don't know, but yeah. I think
is there quite a lot of element of stress, I suppose? You're looking at all the international lockdowns and everything just to see where you can send people and what is actually happening. I mean, probably a lot more than the rest of us, to be fair.
Yeah, it's changing by the minute, sadly. You can't possibly be on top of everything. So, literally a day at a time. A few weeks ago, it was a minute at a time. Everything was changing. But in terms of future bookings, lots of bookings have clearly been cancelled, and trying to get clients' money back or change dates for them when there is no staff because everyone's on furlough because there's no money coming in. It's
very challenging time.
Hugely challenging time.
Well, stay strong, Sue. Stay strong. What about you, Angie? In your industry, what piece of advice would you give to somebody?
Don't start your pricing too low. I've seen so many VAs that start out at £10 an hour or £15 an hour, and it's just not right. It's not fair. They're not valuing themselves at all, and they're just going to attract the wrong type of clients.
Yeah, I suppose with that is that if they go too low, it sort of almost undermines other. If everybody starts going too low, it brings the whole. You've got to elevate things up, haven't you?
It actually can cause a lot of friction with other VAs. They get really upset, and that's why I say it, because I've seen so many get upset about somebody charging £10 when they're actually 25-30, which is the going rate.
Exactly. So yeah, it's very important. I think in all industries, it's really important to get the pricing right and be on a par, because it sort of makes it difficult then for the consumer as to why you're so much higher. People often go low and then get disappointed.
I'll just interject there. There is a strategy where if when you first start, you feel the need to discount the pricing, is to show the discount on the invoice so that the person sees what your hourly rate actually is and what percentage you're willing to give them as a discount, so that that value is baked in there. So when you actually charge them the full amount, there's no surprises. Just a little tip, if you're thinking to yourself, how do I get out of the low price structure? Just show them that actually my hourly rate is £20 an hour and I'm giving you a 25, but you get what you pay for, like in any industry.
Michael's just said in the chat, Angie, I echo that wholeheartedly. So
yeah.
I think everybody's on the same page with that. What about you, Liz? What sort of what piece of advice would you give to somebody in the industry?
Well, retail is taking a real hit on the high street. However, local, maybe we're just don't want to tempt fate, but local, people are shopping local.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we support local, kind of really work on the community spirit. Midhurst Council has just invested in a massive banner, and my lovely mugshot is on it for our shop.
Definitely going to do a drive-by, Liz.
Well, you know, the junction of Hazelmere, Cowdray, there's a whole lot of us that are shopkeepers, you know, shops in Midhurst. Shop local, eat local, support local campaign. So yes, the councils are investing in the town. The shops around us are, I guess, fearful, but at the same time I'm not saying we didn't speak to each other, but we're now collaborating a lot more. We have a Country Bracant event happening next Saturday. So that's a Country Bracant who's very well known. So we are supporting them. So there's a big fair in the square that's going to bring people into town. I know with COVID, so there's going to be 2 of us in the shop manning the shop, because we can't have more than 2 people in the shop, but we can social distance.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for people thinking of starting to retail. Retail will bounce back, and we really need it in the high streets. So I think that if you want to start, then perhaps look at some of the local, support local, maybe even approach a local shop. We actually have pop-ups in our shop. So if you wanted to do a pop-up, you could do a pop-up, have a space in our shop. So that's the other thing. You could start small, to take a small risk.
But that's the key there, isn't it? Well, it comes full circle. It comes around. You've got to collaborate. You know, it's like, collaboration really, really works in any industry across the board. So yeah, it's a really big topic. Thank you for that, Liz. That's really a good piece of advice.
So don't think too big. Yes, you can think big in 5 years, but think what's really important now is really supporting local and also your loyal customers. We've had lots of customers come back. I'm so glad you're back. So the other thing for us, we opened the shop last year. So we've been actually in Midhurst for a year. And I think people thought we would just go, you know, you're going to be here for a year, but we're here. Yeah. So they've come back and they're like, oh, you're staying. So through the bad times, we've struggled, obviously, but with
strong.
Collaborated with landlords and etc. and worked it out how we can stay and support local. Because otherwise you're not going to grow your business if you don't support local. You really, I think you just need to start small.
I think the one thing that this entire thing that we've all been through, lockdown and all the rest of it, has shown us how interconnected all the businesses are. You know, how we need that community. And speaking to business owners outside of any community who've kind of toughed it out and going it alone, they've had a much more difficult time of it than people who have like a community that they can talk to and share the burden with. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Liz. You know, talking and looking at the small local issues and dealing with those things, absolutely right.
And we've been busy. Been busy, so that's good.
That's really good. Right, we need to move on to the next question, ladies. We're running out of time. Go, Stu, you're up.
We've got one from the floor, actually. So I thought we'd use that one. A nice segue into where they are now. So, Angie, what surprised you most about starting a small business? And that comes from Ellie.
What surprised me the most? I think, actually, when you do go out and start... actually, it's more a case of what you don't know, because you actually don't know a lot. You know how to do your job, you know what you want to deliver for your customers, but you don't know how to set up a business. You don't. And don't fool yourself, because you don't. You know, because there are so many other parts of it that I had no clue about, being, you know, just doing that one channel job. And we had departments, like you said before. So it's really important to network and learn from other people. And I know I'm going to plug it again, but obviously to join this Biz Hub or something similar, but obviously this one, because there is so much wealth of information here. You control the internet, but you won't always find what you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Sue, yourself, what surprised you most about starting a small business?
I've run small businesses for quite a long time, and my father ran a small business, so it's sort of something that's sort of deep in me, really. It's not a surprise, but what I love about running a small business is that my time is my own. I hate red tape. I just working for corporates, I just couldn't anymore, because it's just, you know, staff assessments and all of these sorts of things, when you're going to keep a job at the end of the year, and I just love the freedom of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a bad surprise, it can be a nice surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Liz, just quickly, what would you say has surprised you most about running a small business or starting a small business?
I guess the lifestyle change. I mean, for me, it was a massive change. So for me, it's just really staying true to yourself, what your goals are. And mine was always part-time. So don't do too much, because that's not what my intention was really a lifestyle change, was a part-time business. So I think staying true to yourself was a surprise, and being able to keep that balance. Actually, I've managed to keep that balance.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to the networking, Emma has asked specifically, would you recommend to women that they join female-only networking groups, and if so, why? So Angie, let's start with you.
Not necessarily, but for me, I walked into another networking group and I found it really intimidating.
Right.
Because it was my first one, and I'm an introvert and I'm an empath, and I literally just cringed. I couldn't. Yeah. So for me, it worked. It did work, and then now I can go out and go to different organisations. But no, it's not for everybody. No.
Okay. What about you, Sue? About all female networking groups?
No, definitely. I wouldn't recommend them above anything else. I've not really had much success with all female networking groups, to be honest. And the groups themselves don't seem to be very successful locally. To me, they seem to be very, very small. I prefer a mix. I think I always have done. I think it's always good to have a mix.
Okay. And what about you, Liz? Very quickly, let's just see about networking.
Yes, I think the same as Sue. I've always had mixed. I think you need to have that mixed group. I don't know, with sort of, I guess, female groups, they're good for certain things, I think, especially retail, you know, especially if your niche is well, ours is clothing and accessories, so you really want to find out what women's trends are, but it's you know, you also mustn't forget men because they often buy for women, so it's that sort of all round. Yeah, I would tend to have a mixed, personally.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. We'll keep looking at questions coming in, but let's go on to our next question that we've got, Stu.
Yes, so Liz, come straight back to you. Describe a typical day in your business. Is there a typical day in your business?
No, there's no typical day in the business.
That answers that then.
Moving right along.
No, actually, having said that, Monday our shop, so the shop is 60-40, so I tend to do 2 days in the shop out of the 5 trade days. So usually Mondays the shop is normally closed, so Monday at least half the day I would sort of do admin, orders, anything else that needs to be done is slotted into a morning or an afternoon. It's really flexible, and that's the joy of being a sole trader, I suppose. Typical day in the shop, it can be busy or it's not busy, but it's now with COVID, it's cleaning as soon as you get in. It's all those things, making sure everything is safe, nothing's, you know, the signs, all, you know, it's really fastidious at the moment. Things that are quarantined are back in, etc., back in the racks, because we do lots of clothes. So our shop is Still and Bill do loads of Italian clothes and accessories, and I do lots of caftans, dresses, beach towels, all those sort of things. There's lots of touch points in the shop, so a lot of it's cleaning at the moment.
Cleaning, yeah, I can imagine.
And you know, I also do odd fairs, and they are starting up again in September. Well, we hope, we just don't know, but there is a predicted one. I'll be doing a garden show in so that would be slightly different. So there isn't a typical day, no.
What about you,
I take things to do in the shop. I take extra things to do and read.
Keep yourself busy.
Yes, or I'll shut the door one day, you know, I might shut the door for 5 minutes and walk round and see somebody around the corner, one of the other shopkeepers.
Oh, okay, so fairly flexible but busy.
Yes, at the moment we're busy. So since we've opened the doors after, you know, lockdown, the shop has actually been busy. Yesterday, last night I was exhausted. Today I was like, I'm tired.
Angie, what about you? Is there a typical day in your business?
Sometimes there is. I always start the day with my list of things to do, which I write the night before, and I always hope that they go to plan. But that's not always the case, because quite a lot of the job is reactive, not necessarily proactive. But I do have set days with clients where I have to be on live webinars with them to moderate and things like that. So there are set days of doing tasks for clients, yeah.
Excellent. And Sue, what about yourself?
Yep, like Angie, I always have a list of things that have to be completed that day. There isn't necessarily a typical day, which is what I love about my job, but I tend to be pre-COVID, so talking to clients, you know, taking new inquiries, researching hotels and holidays for them, looking after clients who've got holidays booked, so making sure that all the admin stuff is done and that they know they've got what they need when they need it. Some constant contact with clients, you know, updating them on what's happening with their holiday, particularly at the moment. A typical day now, sadly, is chasing refunds for my clients and trying to get them rebooked at future dates. So yeah, the job has changed considerably over the last couple of months, as I think I've already said.
Yeah. Okay, we've had a question from Joe Little, who's actually a visitor with us here today. And he's asking, what's the best advice you got from the Business Hub? So let's start with you, Angie. What's the best? This is an ad hoc question, not on list.
I actually know Joe, so hi, Joe.
Be prepared.
What I would say, there's actually, I can't just say there's one, because since I've started in January time, I've attended all of the masterminds, and I can't tell you how much information I get from that, and how much help I get from that, and how much butt kicking I get from that I need. So and every month there's something of value to learn for your business. You get a worksheet to work through. The collaboration has been fantastic. The sales pricing was fantastic. In fact, it's all good. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a complete worth the money, even though they've discounted massively during COVID to help us as well. That's huge, and I really appreciate that.
Brilliant, thank you. What about you, Sue?
Yeah, I echo what Angie says. There's just so much new information, so much helpful information in sort of pushing the business forward, and you know, just ideas, talking to other people, particularly when we were actually meeting in person. It's been absolutely invaluable.
Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Liz?
I found the hub, it is invaluable, because whilst I had a mentor and sort of had to begin with, you need that, I would say, back end. You need all the other information, and also it's a collaboration more than anything else. I met a lovely lady. I don't know whether she's on. I don't know whether she's here today. Sue from Tatty Goose.
Yeah, I think she is. I saw it. Yeah, she is.
Yes,
in the room. Sue's in the room.
So Sue and I have collaborated and done a couple of fairs together, and that's been fantastic. So yes, it provides lots of different opportunities, and you meet lots of different people and just lots of different viewpoints. I think you can't be, again, in your little bubble. It's really important to sort of open your mind, and as Emma said, you can't do everything yourself. you've got to have, which I actually do find a challenge because I like to do, but you need to help and support. So that, I think that's what more than anything Signal does do, is that sort of knowing there's that help. Not all, I don't always ask for it on something personal that I need to do, but I think just knowing that you have a group of people that are supportive, I just think that's invaluable, to be honest.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. Let's just go on to, we're running a little short of time, so I'm just going to shimmy onto the future, and I just want to ask you all, and if you could keep it brief, but what are some of your life goals? Because sometimes when we're in business, we talk all about, but we've also got life goals. We have a life as well. So I'm just going to bounce that one round. What about you? Let's start with you, Sue. What are some of your life goals?
Right now, I'm sort of looking forward to my retirement, which will probably be in 3 or 4 years' time. And it won't come as any surprise to anyone when I say I'd like to travel a bit more once I'm retired, when I'm not required 24/7. For example, it would be really difficult for me to go to Australia right now because the timing's just out when clients do need me, or even, you know, for inquiries. So it's always going to be travel related, I'm afraid.
Oh, brilliant. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid. I think it's really good. What about you, Liz? What are some of your life goals?
Similar to Sue, it's lifestyle for me. I was sort of heading towards retirement, but just not ready for it. And I didn't want to dip into savings. So I just thought I really need something to keep my mind going, and also sort of be part of the community. I think that was a big thing for me. How do I integrate myself back into the community, having moved from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and just all those sort of things, and also collaborating with Sun and Bill, who just been amazing. And I think that's just a great partnership which just works really well. So I guess the next 5 years I'd still like to be having a part-time business. And still learning just about products and product mix. That's my big challenge at the moment, you know, getting it right or better.
Brilliant. Thank you. And finally, Angie.
I think for me, I'd like to be able to go on holiday without my laptop. So I would like to also utilise some of my team of VAs that I have in my Facebook group that I've created, and perhaps bring them on as associates if things get busy, so that I can take some time out.
Yeah, that's really important, isn't it? We've all got to remember that, don't we? Remember to take time out.
Absolutely, yeah. So what a fascinating insight into your business, ladies. Just really interesting to see how all those different businesses are working, how you got into them. A fantastic session. Just really, really insightful. I love these sessions. It's like having a real chin wag.
It's really interesting, and it's what we do say at the Hub. It's really interesting that you're all from completely different businesses, yet the foundations are all exactly the same. And that is the beauty of sharing this, is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you're doing, you will have something in common with somebody else within your environment. So it's always interesting to highlight that, well, certainly for me anyway, to hear that it's the foundations are the same. So it was lovely to talk to you all today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm not sure if you've got any other questions. Let me just check.
I love the fact that obviously we have some pre-prepared questions to ask you, but that the attendees were so engaged, sending us those questions and asking those questions. That sometimes it's fascinating to see how those questions develop and what they're saying. So if you sent in a question, thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them in the Q&A, but we'll follow up with the people and maybe send them the questions and they can answer them in their own time, maybe on Facebook or something. Gareth, make a note of all of those questions immediately. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your morning, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your time in Spain, Sue. We're very jealous.
Thank you.
How long are you there for?
I leave on the 28th, flying home, so that'll be an interesting experience.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Good. And Sue, I keep meaning to say, I love all the baskets in the background.
Oh,
Liz. I'm sorry, Liz. I'm reading Sue, but I'm looking at you. They look amazing, all the baskets. Really good.
Well, It's all that colour.
I
Natural.
am the proud owner of one, I have to say. I'm very excited.
That's right.
All,
Louise has a basket.
I do. I use it all the time. Good. Okay, our time is done, I think.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just about to share my screen, so do bear with us.
And we'll see you in the second session, ladies. I'm hoping that you'll come and join us in the second session.
Yes,
Yep.
Second session is now coming up. We're going to end this session. Look in your inbox. You should have a link. If you don't have a link, please notify Gareth immediately, and he'll make sure that you get one. We're off. We're going to make a quick cup of tea, cup of coffee, and we'll be back in 10 minutes into the meeting where we will be looking at ways to collaborate and having some one-to-ones. So do come back for that. If you can't, then thank you very much for joining us, but we hope that we'll see you in the next session. Thanks very much, people. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
I want to start this session. Thank you for your insights in your chat there. I want to start this session, and I've got a plan for it, and I'm hoping that you can bear with us if there are any technical glitches, because we're going to be going into one-to-ones. So my plan is to pair up people, because it's often when unlikely people are having a chat that they uncover opportunities and ways that they might have areas where they overlap, and they might be able to collaborate and create hybrid offerings, or they might know somebody that could be a third party that they could bring in that ties it all together quite neatly. So what we're going to do is put you together in one-to-ones. I know a lot of you in here at the moment already know quite a lot about you, but when I was training to be an actor, did a lot of improvisation. And the one key rule in improvisation is yes and. So you're not allowed to what's called block. So if somebody has an idea, instead of immediately going, oh, well, that won't work, think to yourself, yes, okay, and how would I bring what I do to that and make it work? So try and have a positive discussion, even if it's not necessarily going to go anywhere, but it might kickstart some ideas, throw some new light on areas. There might be somebody that you could introduce to this person in front of you, but just think around collaboration and how you could possibly put something together, even if it just requires further exploration and it's just an idea for now. So this is just an idea session. It's not about implementing this and making it happen, but just kickstart some ideas around and get that grey matter thinking creatively about how you could possibly collaborate. So we're going to go into a 10-minute one-to-one session. At the half, if one of you has predominantly done a lot of talking, try and swap it over, but try and give and take throughout it. And we'll come back here at 10:58, and we'll go round and discuss any learnings, any insights, any ideas that you might have had. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. Gareth, do your thing. Hello and welcome back, everybody.
Very quickly, guys, I have to go because I've got my next Zoom.
Oh, Sheila.
See you later, Sheila. Have a lovely weekend.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to talk to you, Sheila. Bye.
Bye.
So let's have a quick shimmy around the room and see who was collaborating. Suzanne, who were you collaborating with? You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Be heard.
You're heard now.
I'm heard now. Yes, Sue, in the lovely Japanese tea house.
Lovely.
And we've been talking about exciting opportunities that she has at the moment, because lots of people don't necessarily want to go back to big spas and things this year. So how she could put vouchers together, maybe. I certainly know people that I would share that with if she put it on Facebook, of maybe sort of having an hour or two, and all these people that are, speaking for her now, all these people that have been home with their children and quite frazzled and could do with an hour or two out. I think it's perfect timing. And we were just saying that it might be good to charge a bit more for an hour than she would have done before, but maybe less, you know, same sort of price for, say, a couple, because she's still got all the cleaning to do. Depends whether it's 1 hour or two. But I certainly think she's got a fantastic opportunity to get more private customers at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And not necessarily a natural fit, a training company and therapist space, but it's about who you connect with and who you know, and that wider opportunity. What about you, Sue? What did you find out about Suzanne that you possibly thought was interesting?
Well, I was so excited about the Japanese tea house. We didn't really talk about it.
Yay! Japanese tea house! Whoop, whoop.
It was a bit one-sided, I'm afraid.
That's fine. It happens. It happens. Well, that's good. It's good that, you know, you're finding out about each other's businesses and getting excited about them. That's always useful. Angie, what about yourself?
I was paired up with Hannah, and Hannah is a first-year university student in London studying maths, and she has not got a business yet, but she's thinking of having a confectionery, sweets and biscuits business that she can sell the produce back home in Uganda. So I've just sort of said to her, you know, she wants to, she said the products over here are so much better, so I've just encouraged her to source or have a look or speak to local suppliers to see if they can help her, and also to talk to, because she wants to get her mum involved, so to her mum to have a look at creating the recipes now and testing them, because she doesn't want to launch until 2022.
Oh, okay. Early days, good. Lots of preparation.
Good planning.
Louise, you have experience of the African continent and stroke market.
I do. South Africa, I was raised in South Africa. I lived there for many years. It's a lot more westernized over there. So they bring, it's not like Uganda. They bring, it is like being sort of, you know, Cape Town, for example, is very international. I mean, it's like, you know, being in London sometimes, to be fair. So it's a bit, you know, it's slightly different to Uganda, I think.
Slightly more metropolitan.
Yeah, it is.
Profile. Yeah, but it's good to collaborate with people in other countries, because
definitely, if
you can bring in resources, produce, etc., and they can't get it anywhere else, you almost have a captive market. So especially in a more developing economy, that's very useful. And thinking ahead, Hannah, that's fantastic. Well done. Excellent. Shayna, who were you chatting to?
I was chatting to Sheila. So quite different business model. So in fact, we ended up talking more about my jewellery business and her. It was very interesting, the difference, because she's found suppliers, Forever Living, have been brilliant about, they've moved everything online, and that's really slick. But what she's noticed is, you know, that she wasn't, it's the personal contact for her. There's the point of her business, and she's supplying people, but she's not seeing anyone. Whereas, you know, I recognise that, because having been back since June, one of the plus sides of where we're at now is that we have lots of time, because my practitioners clean and then air their rooms for 20 minutes. So I'm getting to know my practitioners really well. So I don't know that we really found anything particular to collaborate on, but, you know, it was an interesting conversation just to see where we were both at.
And sometimes the inspiration strikes a little down the road, where you're suddenly like, oh, Sheila did that way. If I did that in a similar way, and whilst it's not direct collaboration, it is that seeding of ideas that we can learn from other businesses.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as swiping and deploying. So you take a good idea from somewhere else and you stick it straight in your business and adapt it for you. So no conversation around different business styles is always a waste. Louise?
Did you talk anything about products, Shayna? Because obviously Sheila's got products. So do you sell product in your?
We don't sell products at all, and I haven't got into that at all.
No.
We looked at it when the Brand Hub went vegan last year.
Right.
A year ago, because they weren't going to stock any homeopathy, but they've managed to use, my supplier has a vegan range now, so they're supplying. It's trouble is turnover. It's always a problem with turnover. And now we haven't got drop-ins. That would really glad we didn't go down that route.
Exactly. Yeah.
because we just have a load of product that we'd have to throw out in
Exactly.
time. So
Okay.
Okay. Liz, who were you chatting to?
I was chatting with lovely Keith.
Ah, Keith. He's disappeared for the moment. And
Oh, there he is.
he's
He's
back.
back.
I'm
Yes.
back. He's back.
Back.
And where did the conversation go? What were you talking about?
Well, we were just, it's sort of like when you've got a small business, making sure the back end is sort of, you've got all your policies and bits and pieces in place. And so Keith, who does GDPR, is GDPR? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
GDPR.
Yeah, basically. So one of the things we need to do is have a proper data policy. Yeah. So
Exploring that.
So what we were doing is exploring the opportunity of maybe collaborating even with the small businesses in Midhurst, because a lot of our businesses are owned by Cowdrey Estate, and maybe offering a opportunity to make sure everyone is up to date, and maybe have a little session with all of us in a room together. Obviously social distance, so maybe we'd have to do 2 lots or something like that. I don't know, just making, or maybe offer a, I don't know, we haven't just gone into the ins and outs of it all, but essentially it may bring some of our shopkeepers together, making sure everyone's up to speed with all the latest things, that we've all kind of got our things in a line, especially with things like websites. So I haven't gone down the road of a website, but if I was, then that sort of thing needs to be, you know, I need to make sure crossed all the I's and dotted all the T's, or the other way around. Yes.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Keith, from your perspective, have you worked with many retailers?
No, I've got to admit, it's not really an area that I've had a lot of attention with. But I was the thing I did share with Liz was about the how we got onto the conversation really was about that I'd previously done a similar idea with a business group in Petersfield. There's a group in Petersfield, I don't know if you're aware, they're called First Friday, who meet every Friday at the Folly Wine Bar. And I did a session with
I used to work there.
I think everyone's worked there sometimes. So
Exactly, in the whole world.
But yeah, it's and so I did a session there for the whole group, which made it affordable for a small business, if you know what I mean, because of the fact that there was sort of 30 of them in the room at one time. So I think I did them each for, I think I did the whole thing for 20 quid each or something. It was something like that. So, but it was really worthwhile. And then we got talking about, because I go to Midhurst to go to the national park, but other than that, I don't really know Midhurst at all. But we got talking about the fact of lots of the shops being tenants of Cowdrey, and therefore if we could go through that route, hopefully Cowdrey might provide a room to do it in, which would, you know, again, all help keep the costs down for everyone.
And I guess then the upshot of that is with your online product that you're developing, if you can go into roomfuls of retailers, you can then upsell them into the subscription so that they can remain current. So there's maybe not necessarily a direct collaboration with it, but this is what I'm talking about. Suddenly it's opened up a possibility that perhaps wasn't there in the
definitely.
Excellent.
Michael, you've got something to add?
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I was just going to say with Keith and your idea, Stuart, sole traders and other businesses, they haven't even thought about GDPR, even how many years now was it? 2-3 years on?
2 years in, yeah.
Yeah, and they do hold lots of personal data. So it could well be, I might be able to refer some to you as well.
Excellent. Yeah. We can have a chat. Yeah.
And it is, and it's all the data. It's the data with your staff, suppliers. It's all of it. It's not just customers.
Well, yeah. This is. I mean, I know it's something we'll chat about at a later date, but it's something as well where people often they think, oh well, I've only got staff. I don't deal with the public or whatever. Well, in fact, if you've got one member of staff working for you, then you need to be registered. Yeah, and people miss that point.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to Liz about the fact that, you know, people get the conception of oh, well, because I'm just a small shop on Midhurst High Street, well, you know, no one's going to come and inspect me. Well, that might, by itself, might well be true. But of course, if an inspector's been to, I don't know, let's say the South Downs National Park, and then wanders out there and just thinks, oh, whilst I'm out of here, I'll just check on a couple of places. Then suddenly you find, you know, you're caught like a rabbit in the headlights, and it's not a nice place to be.
And the other thing which people don't realise is those inspectors are also consumers.
Yeah.
And if they come across a business that doesn't toe the line and doesn't have all the right policies in place, they don't switch off at 5 o'clock and go, oh, well, I'll just ignore anything that I come across.
No,
they
that's
may
right.
decide to go digging when they get back in the office. So yeah, I'm sure this is a topic that we will delve into. So
I also just want to add that Liz, you were saying that the business owners in Midhurst, if you had to get them together and do something together, it's amazing when you do and you collaborate with a group of people, and even if it's just one, you know, one visit or once you've had that, you've broken that ice, you all feel that we're in this together, that common goal, we're all in this together. And you'll find that when you do that, the relationships, as you walk past them in the street and in the shop, you'll have that feeling of togetherness by just doing one thing. So I think it'd be a really good idea to do that, especially in such a small area. I think it'd be a really good idea.
and from my calculation, I believe Michael and Lorna were in a room.
Yes.
Hey!
Well done, Stu.
And what overlap, what opportunities did you explore? Maybe Lorna, you can share.
Yeah, it was quite interesting actually, because I just quickly revert back to the previous session when you asked the ladies what they'd learned, sort of, you know, or what they sort of quickly found out early on in business. And one for me 12 years ago was, don't try and do your bookkeeping yourself. And so absolutely, really sort of sort of recognise the value of having a bookkeeper. But we're speaking about the fact that I look after a lot of self-employed people, business owners, also a lot of people that perhaps are leaving corporate, wanting to continue with medical insurance, but can't afford the sort of, you know, the premium that they've been offered by their incumbent insurer. So and they will be starting a business. There's quite a lot of synergy there. So we spoke about sort of, you know, business owners particularly, and also networking opportunities. Sort of where, you know, I've been doing this for 12 years and I have done a lot of networking, and there are some good groups out there and some not so good groups out there. But so we were discussing that.
It's almost like if there was a company formations business that could refer business out to, you know, a company that's formed will need a bookkeeper, they might need insurers, they might need other associated things. That would be a useful sort of, and I might be able to talk to some people about that. So I'm now thinking about collaboration opportunities myself, and that's kind of how I approach things. Is like, who do I need to put together, even if I don't make anything out of it? I introduced Sarah to a networking event, which I've mentioned to a few people very softly, but it's run by a friend of mine who is in BNI, and whilst it isn't BNI, the idea of somebody being involved with BNI that's running it is putting people off. Sarah, how was it this week?
It has been really good, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't concerned about the BNI because I get BNI, and I think I understand how powerful that can be, and I've been to them recently. You know, I've been invited to them recently. What I loved about this particular group was that you benefited a lot from there being the people who run it. So a little bit like the team, you know, the Stu, the Lou, and the Gareth, well organised. They've already got a good system, good banter going. It was quite fast and furious, but they kept it moving. It was business-like, but it was fun. There were lots of new people. There were other people. And it was quite good to be in a bigger group of people because you're working faster. Yeah. And I think as business owners, sometimes you need to, you go at your own pace when you work on your own in a way. So it was really good to step up. And I've had some fantastic advice again. And anything to keep us motivated and moving forward through this difficult time as well, in terms of seeing other people, what they're doing, their ideas, that they're moving forward, they're active, they're agile, they're trying new things, they're talking and thinking about their business all the time. I think it's brilliant.
I know what you mean about that.
Thank you, Stu. If in a nutshell, but I hope that gives the general idea.
I hear what you're saying, Sarah, because Emma and I belong to a networking group called The Yacht in London, and it's very glamorous. It's on a yacht, and we go up there once a month. Obviously, we haven't been throughout this period, but we go up there once a month, and it's so different. I mean, Sarah, I think, has been. Have you been, Stu? I don't know if you've been yet.
No, the week that I was booked in to come, which was late last year, I was sick as a dog. I wasn't well.
But yeah, all hub members are welcome to come. Your first visit is free, so you can come up with us and we go up. But it is completely different networking to what we do here.
Yes.
It's really fast paced. It's almost like an interview style. But don't let that put you off, because it really makes you up your game. You just sort of and you elevate yourself up, and you're in this really fast paced networking that really just sends your head reeling a little bit, and the wine, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you just really.
And it's London. When you go to the capital city, you go into experienced networkers. I mean, when they go to the yacht, they're going to have a bit of fun and downtime.
Yeah.
And it is getting to know people. They've really let their hair down, and that for us was like, ooh, best behaviour. But really, it's about you and your personality, and connecting and engaging, and letting your guard down a little bit
and
to make these connections.
And just doing something a little bit different. So it's definitely well worth a visit. So that's open to all hub members. So when we do get back into going back to the big smoke, we'll let you know and come along and just experience it. It's really good fun.
Fabulous. Right, conscious of time, let's do the second session. So Gareth, if you would do the honours, the same again, split into groups, one-to-ones, discuss possibilities, people things that could be opportunities for each other, and we'll see you back here at 11:29.
Back in the room.
Back in the room.
You're on mute.
2, 1.
Oh, there we go.
Just in case anyone's on mute, we've got a sign. I'm going to stick it there, look. T-shirts will be available.
Yes. I love it. I'm going to make one.
And unfortunately, Hannah had to dash off, but it was good to see some new people coming to the sessions. Joe this morning with his question, that was very, very good. I
met Lorna the other day, actually. She's lovely.
Oh, great. Excellent.
I actually know Joe. I know Joe. I've known him for like 9 or 10 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Our kids went to school together.
Oh, what does he do? What does he do?
He's very sciencey, actually. He comes from BP, and he works on a lot of science projects, and he does a lot of home music stuff too, which he's now sort of doing. He's helping me with my intro for my Canva videos that I'll be doing.
Oh, wow.
And that's the thing. His mum, his wife is a Macmillan doctor, and so it was their daughter that made my birthday cake last week.
Oh, collaborations all round. Collaborations.
He must have seen my post about being on the spotlight this morning.
Excellent. Oh, right. Okay.
I think I've spoken more about Signal and the Hub this week than I have about my own business.
Sarah, that's what we like.
No, but it's like you got, Sarah. Yeah.
So, Sarah, who were you chatting to?
I don't know about chatting to. I think poor Keith got talked at, actually. I think I was on my own for a while. I thought I was on the naughty step.
Anna had to dash off. I think
then I had the joy of joining Michael and Keith, and we were talking to Keith, weren't we, Michael, about who he could be collaborating with to disseminate his wonderful knowledge.
Yeah.
And we had a little chat about somebody in that we all know who's done very well out of marketing their stuff very well. So we had a bit of a chat about that. But yeah, I think collaboration wise, I just think it's quite important to look at groups of people that you could approach as a group, a sector, to present your work to. So it's, you know, not going one at a time, but if you've got the experience of accountants or bookkeepers and it's worked and you've got process, you know, who can you go to? And Michael Lovely said that, you know, there's a federation of bookkeepers, and with something like GDPR, really you should be going to the big people to disseminate.
But it might be interesting to have the initial discussion with someone like Michael, who can run him through all those tough questions that bookkeepers might ask, or Keith doesn't specifically know about that industry. So there might be some specific requirements, so that when he does get introduced by Michael to the bigger organization, he's able to tick off all those benefits of points that would be very, very interesting to bookkeepers. So collaboration in that sense is preparing yourself for that bigger opportunity. And, you know, depending on what the commercial arrangements are, there's no reason why that can't benefit the introducer as well. You know, if you work on a per sign up basis, affiliate sales can make quite an interesting difference to your bottom line. So don't think that it all has to, the money all has to be paid up front, or that it has to be a massive split. A small amount of quite a lot of sign-ups can make a big difference. And in the early days of the internet, I made at least 50% of my income from just sharing links with people when they asked about certain products or certain information, and saying, here, look, if you click on this, this will do what you want. I get a little kickback. Everybody's a winner. And that you can set up those quite easily. Shana.
I was just sparked a thought in that my professional body did some amazing training on cross-contamination and risk assessment, and it was provided for free. And it was a full day's training. It was incredibly detailed. And then she went through a sample risk assessment for a facial, which we don't do, but you know, it was but we do get up close and personal. So it was a really useful bit of training. And what she's done is at the back of that is she's done QA sessions, which she's charging for. Yeah. So it's just a different model I hadn't seen before. That and I'm sure, you know, she was massively oversubscribed for the first one. And you know, that's a member organization it's gone out through, so it's gone to thousands of people, you know, and if even, you know, a few hundred take up the QA at 50 quid a pop, and she's marketed it as, you know, giving something back for the training. Actually, it's quite an interesting, but it's a different model that might work.
And if she's got her act together, what she will have is an upsell on that Q&A session. That's like, if you want this on a more regular basis, if you need. No,
she's not interested. She doesn't want to help individual businesses. It's not her thing.
So see how that could work for a specific business. So what you do is you give away all of that information in a training, so people know about you, and by the end of it, they like you and they're leaning in. Then you charge them a small amount for a very small commitment. That gets them to trust you, because you know, nobody pays anything unless you believe the other person is going to deliver. And then at the end of that, you say, well, if you want this on a more ongoing and regular basis, I've got this product, I've got this product, I've got this product. So it's a very simple way of taking an opportunity to collaborate and turning it into a bigger opportunity. But interesting, Shana, interesting to share that with us. Who were you chatting to, Shana?
I was chatting to Suzanne, and you know, it was a really interesting chat. I'm not sure how many, you know, there will, again, I think there may be things that come out afterwards that we both think, oh, maybe, but it was just nice to chat, because we're very, very different businesses, very different models, and a real reminder. Suzanne was very good at looking after her own physical well-being, working from home. I was better at my emotional, but not quite so good at the physical. So I'm still not that well set up for working at home physically. But
it's good to share those stories and see that, like I say, you know, it might kickstart something down the road where you have a conversation with other person and those pieces slide into place and you're like, aha. By my calculations, Liz, Angie and Sue were in a chat. who would like to nominate themselves as a spokesperson and tell us what was being discussed? I'm going to pick on Angie because she was a spotlight person and she
Stop
was
talking today, for goodness
Oh, well,
sake.
so was Liz, but
Oh,
I'm
I'm
going to
joking,
pick on Angie.
I'm joking. We actually were talking quite a lot about GDPR because I know that I need to collaborate with Keith.
Yes.
Because when it first kicked off, I did a lot of training at the very beginning, paid a lot of money, learned loads about it. In my VA business, I deal with a lot of personal data, sometimes special data, you know, because I'm also, I can go into schools and things like that. I'm DBS checked. So anyway, I used to run workshops of how to start your audit for your GDPR. So the girls suggested I speak to Keith, which Stuart suggested on Monday, which Sarah suggested on Monday. So Keith, can we have a meeting, please?
There we go.
So we were really talking a lot about GDPR and how the changes have affected the ladies in their businesses as well.
Yeah.
Just a thing for, just very quickly, a thing for any of you who use maybe Google Apps to store your data, or any company who stores the data in the US, is that there was a court judgment from the European Court yesterday, Central European Court of Justice, which has ruled that the EU Privacy Shield, EU-US Privacy Shield, which we've all been relying on for data across the US, is unlawful.
Oh, that's huge.
And so that's going to have huge ramifications. Now, I mean, I was in meetings most of yesterday afternoon, and doubtless will be most of this afternoon as well, with other experts on quite what that means, because it was a totally unexpected ruling. And of course, because it's from the CJEU, there's actually nowhere to appeal to short of the European Parliament, but you know that will take forever and a day. So the judgment lasts for then, until then anyway. But none of us are quite sure what the implications of this are going to be. But it's going to be a lot of work for a lot of businesses, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for that insight, Keith. Everybody form an orderly queue behind me for a chat with Keith. What a great couple of sessions we've had today. Louise, any insights, anything you want to share before we close this out?
No, I just wanted to say, until we put the subject of collaboration in, I know we all collaborate anyway, but as we've really focused on it for the month, it's really made me realize how much we all collaborate naturally anyway, and how much it brings to our businesses. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the fact that we've talked about it so much for the month, and really highlighted it, to be fair.
It is an active part of a small business.
Definitely.
And I think lockdown has highlighted that. And I mentioned about community, staying loyal, staying local, all of those sort of initiatives, they're all very good. And if, I don't know if I can say this, but we have our own little local initiative kickstarting very soon, going live in September. I'll leave it there because I haven't cleared it with the team. But watch out for what's happening on our website. We've got some progress and some news very soon. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending today. I'm just going to whip through these last few bits and pieces, a little bit of housekeeping to close us out. There's the gong, as always, on time. Thank you, Gareth. And if you need to stay update on the whole COVID situation for small businesses, go to the website signalborden.org/newsflash. If we've not covered something and you still want to ask a question, please send it through to us and we'll do what we can to get that information into your hands. Newbies, unfortunately, they've all left, but they will be getting something in their inbox next week. Members only mastermind, 2 sessions, morning and afternoon. Morning's booked, I believe, Louise. Completely.
It is booked. We have got some spaces for the afternoon. So if you're not on the morning session, book on for the afternoon.
Fantastic. Have a great week. Don't forget to send us through those wins and learnings. And that's all, folks. That's us. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And I do hope that very, very mere fact of talking to everybody has germinated those ideas in your head, and you'll be thinking about ways of collaborating with not only the BizHub members, but the other people in your network and your circle. So,
and thank you to our member spotlights as well for today. Thank you, ladies, for coming along. It was really good.
Fantastic members. Great advice.
All the very best.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
bye.
Have a good weekend.
And good weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.